Welcome to Staying Sweet, the podcast. Tune into my weekly podcast to hear me, Alice Bradley, delve deeper into building your personal brand, up-level your mindset and tap into your highest potential using what makes you, you, all while staying sweet, of course. Whether you're looking to level up within an existing business, start something of your own, or create a fulfilling, balanced and healthier lifestyle, each episode will be curated especially to inspire and encourage your own success. Plus, don't miss out on the Staying Sweet specials, a series of exclusive interviews and conversations with Alice's network of entrepreneurs and brand owners. Don't forget there are new episodes every Monday. If you enjoyed the podcast, please do leave a rate and review. For more daily content, check out @StayingSweetPodcast over on Instagram. Stay sweet. Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Staying Sweet, the podcast. If you are new to my podcast, welcome. My name is Alice Bradley. I'm a journalist, photographer and content creator, and I'm here to share lots of advice to uplift you, inspire you, and just get you on your journey to a better, more fulfilled life. I am starting this episode off with just a list of things really that I just want to make sure that I say, and in doing so I've kind of got myself a really good episode lined up. I really do want to jump in and talk today about digital detoxing and the importance of establishing a better work-life balance. I am so guilty of being one of those people who finds it hard to switch off. I'm very go. I always like to have lots of projects on at one given time. If I'm not, writing something in, with my hands, I'm then listening to a podcast and also taking notes from those podcasts that I'm listening to, or I'm listening to something motivational. I'm constantly looking at how I can do more with less time, and I definitely think my external experiences from things like university and just working as a journalist, I think it's very easy to be caught up in the fast-paced environment, and it's great because I do actually thrive off that stressful energy, but in some areas of my life it's not healthy, and I've actually realised that I was becoming quite good at procrastinating and hiding it and concealing it with busyness, and that actually made me feel worse off because I was busy, I was exhausted, but I wasn't actually achieving much, and there wasn't much to show for the efforts that I was putting in. So I quickly realised in sort of the end of July that I just needed to take some time off, so I decided to step away from Instagram for just over a month. Actually, when I'm recording this, I still haven't come back to social media. I know by the time you're listening to this podcast, I will have done, because I have commitments and work opportunities lined up that mean that I have to come back. But I think in an ideal world, I probably wouldn't have for maybe even the rest of this year. Like I've talked to a couple of friends about this, and I think I could very easily switch off, which, guys, I don't think I would have ever have said that before in my life, but I truly think in establishing a better work-life balance recently, I've realised how much I don't need social media, and I don't need to show up every day, and that it's just a construct. And yeah, it's just been a wild old time working on myself and working on a better balanced lifestyle. So today we're going to be talking about it all, and we're going to talk about what I was doing in my time off. I'm sure there's lots of people who were wondering, where is she? What's she up to? What's she doing? And there were lots of things going on behind the scenes, stuff that I needed to get done. And again, things that I was procrastinating and just not sitting down to do because I was constantly keeping myself busy and, pretending, I guess, in some sort of way that I had other things to do, and I couldn't, sort those tasks out because they, weren't important enough, even though they were probably one of the most important tasks I needed to finish and complete. So that's the irony of the situation. I think when we are, forced to be showing up every day, creating content, looking busy, appearing like we're ticking loads of things off our to-do list, it's actually really hard to decide that, am I adding all these things on my to-do list because it looks better to tick them all off? Are they actually moving me forward? Are they needle moving, steps? Are they things that are going to change my tomorrow, or am I just procrastinating stuff that I really need to get done? And I realized it was the latter. I wasn't actually focusing on the job at hand, and in doing so was basically just preventing other areas of my life to progress. So today's affirmation is a simple one, but it's I'm attracting balance in my life, and in doing so, attracting a more authentic life experience. Now, this really resonated with me because I have realized that in allowing myself to slow down, allowing myself to experience balance, I have created a more authentic life. And it's weird. It's almost like it's activated parts of my past again, reignited old passions, and just made me realize that there were other things that I was putting off and not allowing myself to do because my to-do list was already crazy and hectic. But actually, in allowing myself the opportunity to wake up every morning, read a couple of pages of my favorite book, or dive into, a new podcast that maybe isn't necessarily educational, but just entertaining, giving myself that experience and that, I guess, approval to just do some fun things throughout my day, it's actually enabled me to be more balanced and more productive at the same time. Who knew that if we did a little bit of something each day that just lit us up creatively, or in another area of our life, it could actually impact how productive we are. So that's really what I want to share with you today. And I know there'll be lots of you who follow me on Instagram that know I've been away from my phone and just, been taking a step back from social media. And in doing so, it's really given me that breathing room to just ruthlessly edit my life, decide who I want to be, who I want to show up as, and just do a bit of a life audit. So that's really what inspired the slowdown. There were other things as well in my personal life that I just think were the catalyst for me deciding, enough's enough. I need to actually make time for me to do this. There's no more like half-ass doing this. Like, I've got to focus, and I'm so glad I did. I decided that just after the 1st of August I was going to stop posting on my main feed, and it freed up so much time. Like, you would not believe how much time I was saving not showing up, not having to engage every day, because again, there's this obligation with the people that you follow. I love to do it, but it is an obligation to be engaging with other people's content, because at the end of the day, they're engaging with you. And that's, how we keep this machine well oiled. The social media machine requires interaction and engagement. So yes, it was kind of a daily obligation. I was really not enjoying liking and commenting on people's content, and that was one of the things that really freed up so much time, because I would really procrastinate it every morning. I would sit there and go, right, well, I best engage with some people, I best post some stories, I best check out what everyone else is doing, just so I know I'm off to a good start for my day. And in just cutting that silly task, I say silly, it's not silly, but that task out of my day, it freed up so much time, because I used it as a procrastination device, if you will, to hinder and slow down the rest of my day, because I didn't want to do it. It was a task that I set for myself every morning, and I just wasn't vibing it. I wasn't feeling it. So cutting that out really did allow me more breathing room in the morning. So since then, I've been writing in my daily journal. I have been writing in my diary as well, saying my gratitudes and writing my gratitudes down. I've just got a new lease of life with putting pen to paper, and that really motivates me and inspires me. It's not for everyone, but it's certainly something that has really made me feel more aligned with myself and just more in tune with my life balance and how I'm really showing up every day. So in just stepping away from my phone in the morning, it's enabled me to gain such a better perspective on life and on things and on what truly makes me happy. So what did I do really with my other time off social media? Again, I was just tapping into my inner child. I was finding things that made me feel good and embedding them more throughout my day. So my time off actually was a bit of a hybrid situation. So I stepped away from showing up on my main Instagram, but behind the scenes, I was actually working on my podcast Instagram. So I worked out pretty late on that I wanted to do an Instagram account for my podcast, somewhere I could market my content and just allow it to thrive and just show up as a professional entity within the podcasting space. And I realized, I really do need an Instagram for this, because it's something that I want to grow and nurture, and I want people to come to my page and know what they're getting. So I worked out a plan and realized that I wanted to post, and this is kind of the new schedule for my podcast. I wanted to post 5 pieces of content a week for one episode. So inspiration shots in between each podcast sort of post, but I also wanted, real content. I wanted quotes, because that's something back in the day, like when I first started my blog, actually, I would post quotes on my feed and put them in a particular order, and I wanted to bring that back in some way. I wanted to, share that original experience. People who were really OG observers of my content, I wanted that to come back in some way. So I wanted to integrate quotes. I just really had a strategy for my social media, and in scheduling everything and getting everything ready, I realized that I had over 100 posts to schedule and post to get me up to the last podcast I had recorded. So I was like, wow, this is a mammoth task. I worked out, I think I had to do about 6 posts a day, which again is not normal for Instagram, but I wanted to do it. I wanted to show up and get this stuff done. I thought, if I'm not posting on my main feed, I can prioritize this mammoth task that I have and get it done. And when I emerge from the depths of the real world, I have something to show for it. And not that taking time off social media means you have to work on another hustle, but it was just a massive task that I was procrastinating and I just wanted to tick off. So that was one of the things that I managed to achieve in my time off, actually focusing my energy elsewhere, obviously still within social media, but it was a bit of a hybrid situation. I was just stepping away from my immediate space and the pressures of, over 11,000 followers. So in using my time, not consuming story content, not consuming other people's content, I was able to actually focus on stuff I needed to do. And it was really productive. And I just got myself back on track. I was really feeling motivated and just also enjoying the podcasting feed that I'd created for myself, because I was only seeing content related to podcasts or people that I was, thinking worked well with my podcasting audience. So it was just nice to switch off from seeing certain content. It was really motivating. And yeah, it just gave me this new lease of life, new understanding, and just made me realize, wow, my Instagram algorithm on my main feed is, maybe not making me feel amazing all the time. And why is that? So I was just tapping into that and just working out the reasons why, what was causing me to feel anxious or to make me not want to open that account back up. I was getting a few messages here and there, and yeah, I realized I just wasn't feeling the pull to go there and to scroll. So yeah, it was just a really interesting experience. I batch created lots of content and I got it scheduled and I got it posted. Now, the other area of my life that I really just was enjoying to the most fullest of its potential was my personal life, and also just allowing myself to heal in some personal areas of my life. And I really, really was able to do that work and to just take a step back from how I was showing up and being perceived versus how I was actually feeling. So we talk often about perceived realities and how Instagram is a highlight reel, social media is a highlight reel, and it really is. I was realizing that I was putting so much effort into appearing happy that I was actually not allowing myself to truly be happy. And doing that work and bridging the gap between the two, I realized there was a few things that I needed to work on. So I was, again, journaling lots, reading lots of books. You guys know me so well in that I love my self-help books. There's something about them. I've always been pulled to that section. I love psychology books. I love manifestation, texts. I love all sorts of inspirational and motivational reading that is just going to help me level up in my life, and maybe, you know, help me level up others as well. You know, sometimes doing the shadow work and doing the inner healing enables you to not only fill your own cup up again, but help others. And yeah, I just realized that I was able to do that in my time off. I also enabled myself to just go out and do things and nobody know where I was or what I was doing. I spent so many days at the beach. The weather in the UK was just phenomenal, and I just really found myself connected and just reconnected again to nature and the earth. I'm really drawn to water, so I would just spend hours and hours at the beach or by the sea or in the sea, swimming around and just really enjoying the weather and the beach basically. So that was a really lovely place for me to go. I'd take my book, I'd go by myself some days, and I would just spend hours there. I'd spend most of the day there really, and have snacks and all sorts. So it was just a really nice opportunity. I know it's not a possibility necessarily for everybody, but because I do work freelance currently, I was just able to do it. So I thought, do you know what, life is too short. Okay, it's a Monday, but I'm going to go to the beach and I'm going to do some inner work here. I'm going to make this my work environment for today, and just allowing myself that. I think sometimes it can be very easy to be self-critical or to imagine, you know, what would others think of me on a Monday morning? I'm not in the office, I'm not working at my desk at home, I'm at the beach. But I was really able to take a step back and just ignore those thoughts, shut those thoughts down, and give myself that breathing room. So what can you do to establish a better work-life balance? I think you really just have to give yourself the grace and the willingness really to go, do you know what, I'm actually going to look at my life and look at what's actually making me happy, where I'm putting my all into things, and where I'm lacking attention. So often the areas of our lives that we procrastinate are the areas that we really need to be working on. I'm sorry to say it, guys, like I'm so guilty of doing it myself. Like one of the big areas for me was my finances. I dreaded going through anything financial. I dreaded looking at my tax returns, and in recent years I've just built up a strategy, and I realized all I needed was a strategy. I understood a method I could use that worked for me, a way of auditing my life and going through my invoices and my finances and my books. And in doing so, in making something that worked for me, I was able to see it as a less scary task and something less daunting. So with my time off, another thing that I did, guys, was go through my finances and get my finances together and do my tax return, which again, it seems like such a silly thing to be so stressed about. But when you first procrastinate something and when you first go, oh, that's not really a task I want to do, you're forming, I guess, like a snowball. And you're going, right, okay, I'm packing all these feelings into this thing that I need to do. And gradually you're kind of rolling it in the snow of life and building it up. And eventually it's this massive, great big, like snowman looking ball of snow. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I've got this huge task I need to do. It's so incredibly daunting. How am I going to tackle it? I don't know where to start. And you've basically just created this huge situation out of something that you could have done bit by bit, day by day, or month by month. I definitely could have been more on top of my game with my finances in the year, and it would have made for less work, you know, when it was time for my tax return. I've actually done my tax return, guys, early. So again, I'm not trying to put pressure on anyone by saying that, but I am the type of person that just needs a little bit extra structure in order to feel like things are moving smoothly in my finances. And I'm so glad that I've allowed myself, again, that grace and that realization that, okay, when my finances are in check, I feel good and I can actually focus on being creative, because I think my remit of expertise is creativity, and in the creative pursuits that I have, I'm less interested in crunching numbers and, you know, sifting through Excel spreadsheets. But sometimes those things you have to do. You have to prioritize them. So just be honest with yourself and look at, you know, the areas that you're not really doing the work in. because those are the areas that will be niggling at your psyche and like niggling at everything else, making you procrastinate, making you, forget your goals and forget where you want to be. Sometimes in having structure across the board, it gives you more time. It gives you more time for the things that you truly love and that light you up. And it's weird, in stepping back, in just stopping and pausing a few things in my life, I've been able to get so many more areas of my life together. And that's what you need to do in finding balance. You need to integrate this, other world back in. So for me, I was integrating my digital world back in, and I know I haven't necessarily done it to the full extent. I haven't fully come back as we speak to social media, but I've been, doing bits of work and, working in that area again. I've been integrating it back into my overall existence, because it's very easy to forget about all the principles and the practices that you put into place when you decided to take a break, or you decided to, go away on holiday and just have a clear head. Sometimes you have to look at how you're going to bring those practices to life in your existing experience. So remind yourself of how something works, and I guess just come up with a strategy that works for you. So for me, I realized digital detox was all about the main culprit, which was Instagram. And that was the big one. And it was taking up so much of my life and so much of my time, not making me feel amazing when I was on it. So just going cold turkey was I guess the biggest jump you can possibly do. And yeah, I could have deleted the app, but annoyingly what was putting me off doing that was stuff saved in my drafts, which, guys, if you don't know, if you delete the app, all your drafts disappear. So that's why I was against, fully deleting the app. Otherwise I probably would have done that. But I just decided to minimize my usage and focus on my podcast Instagram. So in establishing a better work-life balance for yourself, I really just want you to take on the principles of mindful productivity boosters, things that you can be doing to, just enhance your work-life balance. And I know I said earlier about how we're very good at multitasking these days. I mean, we're not necessarily good at it, but we just do it. We'll be listening to, an educational podcast whilst we go through our finances. I know I'm very guilty of doing that. Or when I'm working, I've always got a podcast on. It actually does motivate me, but you've also got to think, okay, to what extent is this also distracting me? And again, that's striking that balance of when to use it and when to not use it, when to switch it off. So having mindful productivity boosters in your life is a good thing, but try not to be too, reliant is the word I want to use, reliant on the need to constantly be doing something else whilst you get a task done. This won't be true for everyone. I truly believe it's because of my type of work experience, like my human design. I'm a manifesting generator, so I'm very good at flitting between lots of ideas at once, and that's just how I've always worked. It's where I'm sort of most productive, but I'm also finding that it's hindering me as well. So just look into your human design. I'm going to put up in the show notes actually for a human design test, so you guys can see what you are. But any of my manifesting generators out there, drop me a message, like, we need to talk, because wow, isn't it an experience being a manifesting generator? So some mindful productivity boosters that I have, I'm just gonna reel a few off. They're not for everyone, but hopefully they can inspire you to come up with your own things that are just going to be small breaks in your day that can just give you that work-life balance back. So for me, listening to a motivating podcast is definitely a productivity booster. It's something that calms me. It's something that gives me that pep talk. I also find like a really good playlist. Like, I have a manifestation playlist, which again, I will link in my show notes. When I'm feeling low vibrational or a bit burnt out or a bit slow and sluggish, I will whack that playlist on. And do I feel like